right. So, good afternoon, good evening, and good morning, wherever you are in the world. My name is Robert Rubin, and this is the first episode of the Gentleman Warrior podcast, which is kind of an advocacy that I'm personally doing for men around the world, as well as men's mental health, which is an issue that's close to my heart. So, many of you are probably wondering why I'm doing this, and basically what my history is. So here's a bit of a background that I'll share with you. I'm 42 years old and I was married for 12 years. I have two children. I'm divorced. I've struggled with depression for a very big part of my life. And throughout my divorce and throughout parts of my marriage at times, I discovered a very sad but painful reality, which pretty much hit so close to home that I kind of said to myself I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I didn't make a stand, and that is the utmost disregard at times of the mental well being and the mental welfare of men. I am in no way, shape, or form a misogynist. I don't identify with people like that. I don't feel that women are supposed to be subservient sex tools to men. Actually, I'm of the belief that we all came from a woman and that it is our job as gentlemen warriors to protect, to provide, and to show love and support to our women, as long as, of course, we're also given some sort of recompense as well. In other words, as long as we are also treated like we matter. So, in 2022, my marriage ended and I fell into the worst depression of my life. And I was very much on the verge of suicide. Basically speaking, I grew very attached to the family life, the life of coming home to a wife, kids, and throughout the last years of my marriage, I noticed that it was slowly deteriorating. And for the sake of the mental health of my children, myself, and my former spouse, I decided that I would be the one to move out, but I wasn't prepared for what waited for me outside. Personally, I discovered that one big reality was it is very much possible for men to get addicted, and I mean really addicted to the family life. Forget alcohol, forget drugs, forget women. Coming home to a family, in my opinion, is the most addictive substance in the world. And when that is pretty much lost, a man, especially one who valued his family, would not know at times what to do with himself. And it was there that my personal mental health began to deteriorate. Now, it was also there that I realized the utter lack of regard towards the feelings of men and the mental health of men, because I would get two versions of input when I would share my plight with people. First and foremost, I would get from people who've never been married, never have kids, I would get what I call garbage input or heartless input, useless points of just move on, or things like just make a new family. These were all very useless and very pointless inputs because it's not that easy. And that's where it started stinging me, because those men that I did know who lost their family, fellow divorcees, that never came from their mouths. They understood the plight, they understood how difficult it was, and I was met with compassion by those who'd been through it. While those who didn't go through it pretty much didn't show me any kind of compassion at times. They just expected I could just, snap my fingers, go dating again, and be happy. But this put me down a rabbit hole, which would lead me to the creation of the Gentleman Warrior. Because be it losing a family, be it being raised a man in the 2025 culture, we men, most of the time, are given one of two options. One, become a misogynistic maniac and hate women, or do things driven in hate of women or other people. Or two, end it. It's been proven statistically that more men die of suicide than females. And why is that? Because women are given the opportunity to feel. Women are given the chance to express themselves. If they're crying, people will usually come and comfort them. But us men, us, the providers, the warriors, the protectors, the fathers, the brothers, if we show weakness, we're looked down upon like we're nothing. But we are the ones who fight battles. We are the ones who protect. We are the ones who provide. So why are we treated like a subspecies or some sort of, why are we treated like we don't matter? And the most natural thing to do for men would be to get angry, right? Just get angry and say, oh, fuck everything, fuck women. I'm going to become a playboy. I'm going to put up another podcast demeaning how women are just pussies who just need to be fucked and abandoned. But that turns us into monsters. And it made me believe that there has to be a better way. There has to be a better way to do this. There has to be a way where we can pretty much acknowledge our needs, but not at the expense of anyone else. Now, don't get me wrong. There are bad people in this world, bad men, bad women, but not everyone. Like if you were cheated on by a woman, one wish I have for you is don't believe that all women are bad. That was one evil woman who did that to you. One. It is not right to generalize that all women are bad. If a woman left you at the altar, that was a horrible thing to do. But you don't have the right to label all women as crazy, because by God, there are some amazing women out there that remind me of why I do things like this, that deserve to be protected. But there are also women out there, even sometimes men, who look at you like you're worthless. Like I asked a hypothetical question. Should a woman help a man when he's at his weakest? At his weakest. And one woman I knew who I lost respect for after saying this said, no, he shouldn't. She shouldn't be carrying him. And I said, I didn't say carrying him. I said when he's at his weakest. Because yes, there will be points, brothers, where we will hit rock bottom. And if we have a wife or a girlfriend, don't you think it's only fair that when we are at our lowest, that these women that we say we love, that we are committed to, help us get back on our feet? But at the same time, it wouldn't be proper for us to act like children and expect them to mother us and be babies, because no longer men if we do that. We're not gentlemen warriors if we do that. We're man-childs. And this is not the man-child podcast. This is the Gentleman Warrior podcast. So why did I name this the Gentleman Warrior podcast? Because if you ask me, from the words gentleman, a man who shows courtesy, kindness, honor, and resilience to himself, to the women in his life, and to others, and warrior, a man who will do everything in his power to protect those he loves. I remember I had a talk with someone during my depression, and he said, Robert, what I'm most impressed of by you is your language of love is a very powerful act of service. And that's, I will protect you. And I realized, yes, that's my language of love. That if I love you and you're in the green with me, I'll give my own life for you. And up to now, I'll still say I do that for my ex-wife because she's the mother of my children. She gave me the most beautiful things in the world. even if we don't get along. But the problem is, sometimes that's not reciprocated or that's not respected. Sometimes people say, well, you should be doing it. You're supposed to be doing that. Yes, if you're going to look at it from a viewpoint that men are supposed to be protecting people, but aren't we also supposed to show respect? Aren't we also supposed to show consideration to our men? I made a post in 2025, no, in 2022 during the 2020 during the pandemic about checking on your strong friend, because this was the beginning of my fascination of the mental health epidemic of men around the world. And I'm going to read it to you. Okay? Because when I saw this, I personally teared up because I found that I wasn't as alone as I thought. Now, first things first, okay? I understand that we men have to have a certain level of strength to us at times, okay? That at certain times we have to, live up to the machismo that the world put on us, that like we have to act this way, we have to be strong. But that does not mean we don't have limits. That does not mean we don't get sick. That does not mean we don't bleed. That does not mean we don't get depressed. And that does not mean that we are not allowed to. But society as a whole has been so skewed that if a man hits a limit, most of the time, well, what ends up happening is men are crucified for it. They're ostracized. They're called weak. They're called unmanly. So what do? They just keep torquing. They just keep pushing until they break, until they hurt themselves, until they fall apart, be it through gambling, be it through drugs, be it through an affair. And I'm not just justifying any of these, be it through alcohol, because they can't get any release because everybody just keeps expecting them to be indestructible. But just because we're strong doesn't mean we're indestructible. It says here, men's break the stigma. 75% of all suicides are male. 40% of men won't talk to anyone about their struggle. That's already a problem. Because we've made it a scenario where we're ashamed to talk about our problems. And it's because most people treat men like they shouldn't talk about it. Now, if you're the kind of person that says, no, I let my man talk, or I hold space, then you are the exception, apparently, not the rule. And I salute you for that. It's not unmanly to struggle, because everybody struggles. Now, this is my personal advocacy, okay? And I'll read it to you. Because the line of thinking, you're tough, you can take it, is not only toxic, it's inhumane. I've had a discussion with a few badass men that I've had the honor of knowing, and they all agree that them being treated like their feelings don't matter just because they're tough only increased mental health issues with them. Just because a man is tough, strong, badass, or has a black belt doesn't mean that they don't get hurt, that they don't get offended, they don't bleed, get depressed, get anxiety, feel fear, feel pain, have feelings. And most importantly, it doesn't mean that they don't matter. Remember these words. Treat your warriors like they matter, and they will give their lives for you, serve you, protect you, and honor you. Treat them like they are expendable, and you'll only prove my point. One of the things a woman said to me, who I'll never forget, when I was at a very painful part in my life, she was trying to get me to open up to her because she was trying to help me, but I was clammed up. And two words came out of her mouth, which were, "You matter." And that broke me. That broke me. So I'm telling you all of you who are watching this, each and every one of you, you matter, brothers. You matter. You know who you are. Because if you're watching this, you're not of the misogynistic. Oh, fuck all women. I'm strong. I'm going to take steroids and be a misogynist. No, you're not like that. You're made of good stuff. And what hurts you is that that goodness is being taken for granted. All right? And I'd like to tell you one thing. Just because a man can take a hit doesn't mean we don't bleed. And doesn't mean we don't want to. Or it doesn't mean we want to. Okay? Ultimately, this has got to stop. And this is the beginning. I hope I can keep this going. Because, men, the one thing that I just want you to know, you gentlemen warriors out there, is that more than ever, right now, you have to shine that light. You cannot give into the darkness. You cannot blame the world. There are still people that care about you. There's still someone out there who wants to listen to you. Because as a man, you know what really gets us is we begin to think we're a burden. And that's when we hold everything inside. And that's when we start thinking, you know what? Maybe we should just, and you know what I'm talking about. But the truth is, we need to get this message across to the world. That yes, men matter. Men bleed. And that maybe, just maybe, if we start showing men, good men, the level of support that they need to be heard, to be seen, to be felt, maybe we're not going to create monsters anymore. Maybe we will start creating heroes again. And that's one of the things that I'd love to see happen from this podcast and from this advocacy. That there is a third option. It's not death or destruction. That we can hold on to this, brothers. And quite frankly, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Am I going to form a community on Facebook? Maybe. Somewhere we can share, we can talk. But at the same time, I'm not going to emasculate you. I'm not going to baby you. No, that would be an insult to your power. If you're getting your ass kicked in the ring, I'm not going to jump in the ring and save you. Because you know what? That's one thing I learned the hard way. That no one is coming to save us. But people are coming to support us if we let it. If you're in the ring, I'm going to be in your corner telling you to get up and win. And I'm not going to give up on you. As long as you don't give up on yourself. And when we feel that level of respect, honor, resilience, from our colleagues, from our brothers, then we could radiate that outwards. But right now, society is so broken that men have been forgotten. That the good men in this world have been forgotten. It's not right to think that all men are bad, all men are misogynist, all men are abusive. Because here's one thing I'll share with you. Okay? I am proud to celebrate Women's Day and Women's Month because there are some amazing women in my life. And I see it all around. Don't you think it's only fair that we also celebrate Men's Day and Men's Month, which is November 19th? It's actually there. Every March, Women's Day and Women's Month. But there's really no mention of Men's Month. So if we're all about equality, don't you think the good men in this world deserve recognition as well? I'm not talking about the assholes. I'm not talking about the wife beaters. I'm not talking about the misogynists. No, I'm talking about the good men. The men who give more than they can to provide for their loved ones, to take care of their loved ones, to be good, honorable members of society. And don't you think that just simply by saying, hey, I appreciate you. Happy Men's Day. I love you. Don't you think that that's going to make a positive impact? So I'd like to invite you all to follow me on Instagram at the Warrior Gentleman. and also on YouTube. All of these things will be put there, and of course on the Facebook page. I have an entire roster of different topics I'm going to be talking about, and hopefully as time goes on, the production value of this will increase. But I'm not really doing this to look good or for the likes. I'm just doing this to get it out there that men, you matter. Gentlemen, your captain is signing off. Love you all.